Okay, so it appears that Bernie Sanders has appeared over on Ollie Velshi's show. I guess, I don't know, is that his show or is he filling in for Chris Hayes in this situation? I don't know, I don't watch MSNBC, TBH. But he pulls up and something's going on that's interesting right now. Everybody has come out with their endorsement. I think I saw Elizabeth Warren dropping her endorsement for Kamala as well. Pelosi had endorsed. I think Schumer had endorsed. The last one kind of hanging out there that was kind of suspect was Obama. I still think, I personally believe, where there's smoke, there's fire in the situation. So I think something is going on there in terms of maybe some fifis going on. But it looks like the one major person that has not endorsed is Bernie Sanders, which is pretty interesting. So Bernie was kind of interesting in that he was pretty hardcore pro Joe Biden. Joe Biden did do like some good amount of progressive stuff with the labor, who he had appointed to the labor board, as well as the CHIPS Act, bringing jobs back and things of that nature. And so he did do like the student debt cancellation that eventually got overturned by me. He did what he could do, sort of in his power. Unless you're a believer in the conspiracy that he kind of purposefully did it, knowing that it was going to fail. But he's going to come on and basically be peppered by MSNBC, and Ollie Velshi is doing this. He's going to be peppered. I don't know. This is pretty interesting. So he's going to be peppered as to why it is that he has not endorsed Kamala Harris yet. It takes the whole 8 minutes to do it. I'm not going to show the whole 8 minute clip just because that's too long. But I'll try to splice it up. But the whole 8 minutes, he's kind of dodging the question, and then he kind of finally answers it. But go ahead and check it out.
You can rhyme it off the top of your head. Are there particular commitments you want from Kamala Harris that you felt like you had from Joe Biden?
Well, as you know, President Biden supported a 100-day agenda, said that in the first 100 days, he would do things like expanding Social Security benefits. All right, 25% of our people, elderly people on Social Security, living on $15,000 a year. We can do that by lifting the cap on taxable income and extend the life of Social Security by 75 years. Medicare. Well, look, between you and me, as you well know, the Congress is not ready to move to Medicare for all, which I support. But you know what you could do, and what the President Biden wants to do? Expand Medicare to cover dental, hearing, and vision. All right? We can raise the minimum wage to a living wage. We can cancel all student debt. We can put a cap.
So there's nothing in anything you've said that would suggest that you'd spend a minute thinking about Donald Trump as a presidential candidate. So what's the difference between you working really hard to overcome Donald Trump's election as president and endorsing Kamala Harris?
Well, look, you know where I am right now? I'm in Manchester, New Hampshire. We just had a great town meeting here talking about the need to elect the vice president. We were in West Lebanon. I'm going to be in Bangor, Maine tomorrow, Portland, Maine. That's what I'm doing. But I think it's important for some of us to say, look, we know that there's a lot of big money in the Democratic Party. We want to make sure that the vice president is listening to the working class of this country, to progressives as well, and brings forth very specific ideas. These are not radical ideas. Expanding Medicare by lifting the cap, expanding Social Security, building housing. These are not radical ideas.
No.
And I would hope very much that we get some specificity.
Is that, in order to get that specificity, is that conversation happening in real time right now? Are you in that conversation with the vice president, or your people in the conversation with the vice president's campaign?
Well, I have talked to the vice president and look forward to speaking to her again in the near future. And yeah, that conversation is going on.
Got it. Talk to me about what that would do for you differently. In other words, you getting those assurances, you're going out there, you're telling people in all those places you just named that they've got to vote for the vice president. What will happen when you get the assurances you want, which I suspect you'll get?
Look, I hope I do get them. I hope I do. Look, this country cannot, in my view, just tolerate Donald Trump's getting elected. So I'm out there, I work hard, and I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that Harris is our next president. But I just am trying. You know, it pains me personally, again, coming from a working class background, that so many workers, especially white workers, are turning their backs on the Democratic Party. And I think we can bring them in if we give them an understanding. We know what's going on in their lives, the pain they're experiencing, and that we have an agenda so that their kids are not going to have a lower standard of living than they do, so that they can afford to go to a doctor, so that they can be easier for them to join a union, so that we raise the minimum wage. These are not radical ideas. And the Democratic Party has got to start addressing them at every level.
Do you feel that there's a little more energy in this race than there was a week ago?
Oh, absolutely. It seems to me, you were just discussing it a moment ago, getting 160,000 people on a Zoom call, that is, to say the least, pretty crazy. That is a way out. But yeah, I think there is a lot of energy, and I hope it can be maintained.
Yeah, so basically what he's saying is he's withholding his endorsement because Biden had agreed to certain things, and he wants Kamala Harris to agree with certain things. Another big nugget in there was that he has actually spoken to Kamala Harris, and he will be looking forward to speaking to her again. So she's definitely in contact with him, and Kamala seems to be pretty active. She already went to Wisconsin. I think she's trying to be like the anti-Hillary. So she's already been to Wisconsin. She's like, I'm getting that curse off of my back, which is smart. But so what I think, yeah, he's doing is he's trying to withhold his endorsement in exchange for guarantees of certain progressive policy positions. I think he had done something kind of similar with Biden in the first place last time in the last election. But what I would say that it comes down to is I think that is a good move, I think. I don't think there's any real benefit in this kind of coronation. Obviously, Kamala Harris has been coronated, and anybody who has any criticism or any of such nature is really just sort of an outcast, really demolished by society. Everybody hates them. Like, if I say anything bad about Kamala Harris electorally, anything, it's just like people are just coming out with their knives and swords just to, like, just destroy me, right? It's crazy. I think that's a really negative thing to do for the simple fact that I think criticism is healthy for a candidate and it helps a candidate be better. It exposes potential weaknesses. It prevents this insulation from the outside. If you insulate yourself from the outside of any kind, it makes you a weaker candidate. Competition is good, criticism is healthy. It's just pluralism and democracy as an idea, right? Just basic, right? I think it makes a candidate weak, and there's no need for everybody to just come out and be like, yes, Kamala, go! Like, you mean, dude, it's not even August yet, big dog. Like, what are you talking about? So obviously you should endorse her, obviously, at some point, right? And obviously you should vote for her and support her, but any criticisms that you have, any critiques, any skepticisms that you have, all good things to have right now. You want to be in that criticism phase right now. You want to be in that skepticism phase right now. And then as we start to get closer and closer to the election, you want to start to move more into support. Now is kind of the critique phase. Now is the healthy, constructive criticism phase. Now, if you're not acting in good faith, then I think what you're doing is wrong and it's bad because it's not going to contribute anything. But I'm assuming the good faith clause holds, meaning that you are acting in good faith when you're criticizing. So as long as that happens, it's good for the campaign. And so I think what Bernie is doing is good, and I'm happy that he's doing this. Because it appears nobody else is doing it. Everybody has come out to support immediately in this coronation. I think coronations are bad in all circumstances. I think that it doesn't create the best candidates. And I think it's just an intelligent move to do. I know some people are saying, like, oh, well, what are the differences in positions? But I guess he's saying Biden had agreed to the 100-day plan and all that kind of stuff. So I think this is just a good move to do, and I think more people would benefit. I think the biggest person who could benefit from criticism for the Kamala Harris campaign is Kamala Harris. And so I'm a firm believer against the chaos theory. It's like this weird chaos theory where, if anything happens that looks kind of off or looks bad somehow, it looks chaotic, it looks bad. I completely disagree. I think, pluralism, fighting, infighting, all this stuff is very healthy. I even saw like a political scientist had said that, it's a really good sign for the Democratic Party that people are fighting because it shows that there's kind of a lot of involvement and there's this kind of debate going on, right? And I think that's right. And so I think that more people would benefit, but again, the person who benefits the most is Kamala Harris. And I think, like, for example, Hillary Clinton was really offered a really big opportunity from the competition provided by Bernie Sanders. The big benefit for Hillary Clinton for that was, there's this massive wing of the party that doesn't fuck with me. They want someone more progressive. What can I do to potentially expand my voter base to win the election? I could make overtures. I could alter my agenda. I could make promises. I could appoint. I could choose somebody who's not the same person as me, just with the different genitalia than me and Tim Kaine. Like choosing a Bernie Sanders or maybe even like a lesser known, more progressive person, maybe an Elizabeth Warren or something. Although that would have been impossible because you can't have two women or two white women on the ticket. You have to diversify the ticket, right? But that's the point. But like hypothetically, if that didn't exist and she just coasted to a clean, easy victory like Joe Biden did in the 2024 primary, there would not even be an opportunity to notice the weakness of, oh shit, I'm doing really poorly amongst this group of people. There's so much opportunity cost involved there, where with that, if you weren't to have that opportunity cost, you'd be in a situation where, oh, you can actually win. And so I think that this is actually better. And that's why I thought even like an open convention would be good, even if Kamala's a nominee. My issue isn't necessarily with Kamala being the nominee, it's the way that she's become the nominee. Because I think that she would have got stemmed if she had become the nominee via some kind of competition or election process, because it would have exposed any weaknesses. She would have been able to find any other voter groups that she could have outreach to, and it would have benefited her. So I'm with Bernie Sanders here. I say you obviously have to endorse at some point, right? And maybe not in too long, maybe, but I would say you don't have to immediately just like, boom, endorse now. I actually think the person who hurts from that most is Kamala Harris. I would flip it on its head. People saying that kind of a thing helps Kamala Harris if you were to endorse immediately. I think it hurts her the most because it makes her super weak, not battle tested, lacks outreach to multiple things, lacks diversity and outreach and things of that nature of who you're reaching out to, not just racially. And I think that hurts your campaign ultimately. And I think that the best candidates come out of a really hard, fair, and legitimate competition like we had in 2008 and things like that. And I'm not saying the competition was perfect. I'm saying that it was much closer. Like Mike Gravel was on, I think, 2 debate stages in 2008. RFK couldn't even get on the debate. Oh, I guess that's a general election, so I guess that's not really a good comparison. But, they weren't even able to have debates like with Marianne Williamson and stuff like that, right? So it's just, that's the better strategy. So I'm with Bernie here.